I'm a Republican instead of a Democrat for a variety of reasons. And if you go back to the Great Society of Lyndon Johnson and the unintended consequences of the legislation that was passed back in that day, many things happened to the black community as a result of that legislation that, although the legislation may have sounded good in principle, in its actual effects, the results were very corrosive and served to be very destructive toward the black community. And as I grew up from being a young man to an older man, as people say, if you're young and you're not a Democrat, you don't have a heart, and as you get older and you're not a Republican, you don't have a brain. Well, I think that's very apropos in my life. When I was young, I thought I was a liberal. And as I grew up and I saw things in the reality of what they really were, I realized without having to be told that I was a conservative. So now, as my conservative beliefs started becoming more and more concrete in my mind, those beliefs had to be they had to be looked at in a political sense with what was out there politically. And most people in the African American community are Democrats, or at least they think they're Democrats. But I had to start looking at what the Democrat Party represented and looking at what the Republican Party represented. And in the 80s, because I'm a 30-year military veteran, in the 80s it was an interesting thing, and only in America, where you could walk around in the spaces of an American military organization and hear Rush Limbaugh blaring out of the offices and radios on every desk. And I would listen to Rush Limbaugh in the 80s, and at first I listened to him with suspicion. And after a while, I started listening to him with an open mind. And many of the things that Rush Limbaugh were talking about while Bill Clinton was president made a lot of sense. And common sense is common sense. You really can't argue with it. And after a while, that gave me pause to look at the Republican Party with maybe a different perspective, different point of view, look at it with fresher eyes. And the reason why I am a Republican today is because as I went through that evolution, I saw that the Republican Party represented what I believe.